Cubs fans, drop everything you're doing right now. Seriously, put down that old style. Pause that Cubs game replay from 16 and listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to send shockwaves through every corner of Wrigleyville and beyond. The last 48 hours have been an absolute roller coaster of emotions that'll make that World Series drought feel like a gentle spring rain compared to the hurricane of news that just hit our beloved organization. You think you know what's coming? You think you can handle what the front office has been cooking up behind closed doors? Think again, Cubs universe. We're talking about moves that could reshape the entire landscape of our franchise. Moves involving a rising ace who's been absolutely dealing in the minors, a potential blockbuster that could bring a Cy Young winner to the north side, and a sneaky bullpen addition that nobody saw coming, but everyone's about to be talking about. Picture this. While you were going about your daily routine, worrying about whether we can make a real playoff push this year, the Cubs organization was orchestrating a three-pronged attack that's going to change everything. We're talking about the kind of moves that separate the pretenders from the contenders, the organizations that play it safe from the ones that go all in for glory. First, there's this young gun who's been absolutely torching opposing batters in our farm system. 5 straight quality starts, Cubs fans. 5 straight. The kid's dealing like he's got ice water in his veins and a rocket launcher for an arm. But here's the kicker. This isn't just some random prospect having a hot streak. This is the real deal, the kind of pitcher that makes veteran hitters shake their heads in disbelief. Then, if that wasn't enough to get your heart racing, we've got whispers. And when I say whispers, I mean the kind of trade rumors that make grown Cubs fans weak in the knees, about a potential deal that could bring legitimate ace material to Wrigley Field. We're not talking about your typical deadline rental here, folks. We're talking about the kind of pitcher who can anchor a rotation, the kind of guy who makes October dreams become October reality. And just when you think the excitement can't get any higher, there's this third piece of the puzzle that came out of absolutely nowhere. A bullpen move that's so under the radar that most of the baseball world is sleeping on it. But Cubs fans who know their stuff are already getting goosebumps, thinking about what this could mean for our relief corps. Smash that like button. If you're ready for this Cubs roller coaster, drop a comment with your boldest prediction. And make sure you're subscribed, because you're not going to want to miss how this story unfolds. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let me ask you something, Cubs universe. Are you ready to believe again? Are you ready to start planning your October wardrobe? Because after what I'm about to tell you, you might just find yourself booking hotels in playoff cities and practicing your Go Cubs Go for the whole neighborhood to hear. The first bombshell is going to make you remember why you fell in love with Cubs baseball in the first place. Remember when we used to dream about having a farm system so deep that opposing scouts would lose sleep at night? Well, Cubs fans, that dream is now our reality. And the proof is dominating hitters down in South Bend like it's batting practice. We're talking about Evan Ashenbeck. And if that name doesn't give you chills yet, it's about to become your new favorite thing to scream at Wrigley Field. 5 consecutive quality starts. Let me repeat that for the Cubs fans in the back. 5 consecutive quality starts. This isn't some fluke, some hot streak that's going to fizzle out faster than our hopes in 2004. This is a young man who's pitching like he's got something to prove to every single person who ever doubted that the Cubs could develop elite pitching talent. Picture this scene, June 12th, South Bend Cubs versus Fort Wayne Tin Caps. While most of us were going about our Thursday night routine, Ashenbeck was out there putting on an absolute clinic. 7 innings of shutout ball, Cubs fans. 7 innings where he made opposing hitters look like they were swinging pool noodles instead of professional baseball bats. 1 hit, and 5 strikeouts that had the sparse South Bend crowd on its feet like they were witnessing the next Kerry Wood 20K game. But here's what's really got the Cubs organization buzzing. What's got scouts from other teams calling the front office, asking questions they probably shouldn't be asking. This wasn't a one-time thing. This kid has been dealing like this for over a month straight. 5 quality starts in a row means he's thrown at least 6 innings and allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in each of those outings. For those keeping score at home, that's consistency. That would make Greg Maddux proud. The numbers don't lie, Cubs universe, and they're telling a story that's going to make your heart race faster than Ryne Sandberg stealing second base. while Ashenbeck was carving up high-A hitters like a Thanksgiving turkey. The rest of the South Bend Cubs were putting up crooked numbers too. Carter Trice went yard, Miguel Pabon drove in 3 runs, and the team scored 10 runs in support of their ace in the making. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of those magical moments when you realize you're watching something special develop right before your eyes. This isn't just about one game, one start, or even one month. This is about the Cubs organization proving that they can develop the kind of pitching talent that wins championships. The kind of arms that make other teams' hitters cancel their dinner plans because they know they're about to get embarrassed. The South Bend Cubs are now leading their series 3-0. And while Ashenbeck is making opposing batters question their career choices, the Cubs organization is quietly building something that's going to make the rest of the National League very, very nervous. But Cubs fans, if you think one dominant prospect is all we've got cooking, you're about to find out just how wrong you are. Just when you thought the Cubs organization was content to let their farm system do all the talking, they go and set their sights on something that's going to make every Cubs fan from Wrigleyville to Galesburg start planning their playoff viewing parties. We're not talking about some middle-of-the-rotation insurance policy here, Cubs universe. We're talking about going full Theo Epstein mode and targeting a legitimate, bona fide Cy Young Award-winning ace, Chris Sale. Let that name roll around in your brain for a minute, Cubs fans, because if the front office pulls this off, we're not just talking about upgrading our rotation. We're talking about completely changing the entire trajectory of our 2025 season. Think about this for a second. The Atlanta Braves, despite having one of the most talented rosters in baseball, are sitting well under 500 and looking like they might actually be sellers at the trade deadline. Sellers, the same organization that's been our biggest competition for the past few years, might actually be waving the white flag. And guess who's sitting pretty, with one of the deepest farm systems in baseball and the payroll flexibility to make a move that would send shockwaves through the entire National League. That's right, Cubs universe, US. Sale isn't just any pitcher, folks. We're talking about a left-handed assassin who's posted a 2.79 ERA through 14 starts this season. The same guy who absolutely dominated the National League last year on his way to a Cy Young Award. This is a pitcher who makes opposing lineups look like they're swinging wet newspapers. A guy who can single-handedly turn a good team into a championship contender. But here's where it gets really interesting, Cubs fans. With Justin Steele done for the season with that elbow injury, we've got a hole in our rotation that's bigger than the gap between Wrigley's foul poles. Sure, we've been winning games without him, but anybody who's been following Cubs baseball long enough knows that October is a completely different beast. You need aces in October. You need guys who can take the ball in Game 1 of a playoff series and make the other team's fans nervous before the first pitch is even thrown. The beautiful part about this potential deal? Sale has an $18 million club option for next year, which means we wouldn't just be getting a rental for this year's playoff push. We'd be getting a proven ace who could anchor our rotation for the next 2 seasons, the kind of pitcher who makes free agents want to come to Chicago, the kind of guy who makes young hitters in our system work twice as hard because they know they're going to have to face him in practice. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you, Cubs fans. The price is going to be steep. The Braves aren't going to just hand over a Cy Young winner for a bag of baseballs and a deep dish pizza. But here's the thing. We've got the farm system to make it happen. And more importantly, we've got a front office that's proven they're not afraid to go all in when the moment is right. Remember 2016? Remember that feeling when we finally broke the curse? Well, Cubs universe, that same magic might be brewing again, and it's got Chris Sale's name written all over it. But hold on to your Cubs caps, folks, because that's not even the end of our story. Cubs fans, just when you thought this emotional roller coaster was coming to an end, the universe decided to throw us one more curveball that nobody was, and I mean nobody, saw coming. While we were all focused on the big names and the blockbuster trades, the Cubs organization went ahead and made a move so sneaky, so under the radar, that it's going to have opposing teams wondering how we keep finding these diamonds in the rough. Jake Brents. Mark that name down, Cubs universe, because what just happened is the kind of shrewd baseball move that separates championship organizations from the also-rans. Here's a guy who is absolutely dealing for the Kansas City Monarchs in independent ball. And when I say dealing, I mean throwing 95.5 pure heat as a lefty while striking out 17 batters and walking only 5 in just over 12 innings of work. This isn't some washed-up veteran trying to recapture past glory. This is a former big leaguer who went down to independent ball, remembered how much he loves this game, and came back hungrier than a Cubs fan at a Portillo's. The beautiful thing about Brents is his story, Cubs fans. This is a guy who had 85 strikeouts in the majors with Kansas City, who led the Royals with 72 appearances back in 2021. He's got legitimate big league experience, and now he's coming to our organization with something to prove and a fastball that's been sitting in the mid-90s. But here's what really gets me excited about this signing. It shows that our front office isn't just thinking about the headlines and the ESPN highlights. They're thinking about depth, about having the kind of bullpen that can handle the grind of a playoff run. While other teams are overpaying for big-name relievers, we're out here finding guys like Brents who can come in and throw strikes when the game's on the line. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of how the best Cubs teams have always been built, not just with the superstars everybody talks about, but with the role players who show up when nobody's watching, who get the job done in the 7th and 8th innings when the game's hanging in the balance. And let's not forget what this means for our current bullpen situation. We've all been holding our breath every time someone comes out of our pen this season, wondering if this is going to be the game where everything falls apart. Well, Cubs fans, Brents gives us another weapon, another guy who can come in and attack the strike zone with that mid-90s heater. The Kansas City Monarchs had the best record in the American Association at 21-9, and Brents was a big part of that success. Now he's ours, Cubs Universe, and he's bringing that winning mentality straight to the north side. Hit that like button if you're as pumped as I am about this triple threat of Cubs news. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 3 moves has you most excited, and make sure you're subscribed because this Cubs season is just getting started. Cubs fans, as I sit here thinking about everything that's happened in the last 48 hours, I can't help but get that same feeling I had back in 2016 when everything just seemed to click into place. We've got a prospect in Ashenbeck who's dealing like the next Cubs ace. We've got a potential trade target in Sale who could transform our entire playoff outlook. And we've got a sneaky good bullpen addition in Brents who's going to help us win the games that matter most. This isn't just about making moves for the sake of making moves, Cubs Universe. This is about building something special, something that's going to make Wrigley Field the place where championship dreams come true once again. So I'll leave you with this question, Cubs fans. Are you ready to believe that 2025 might just be our year?